Hi, middle schoolers. It's Robin Bates. Here I am again with another video for you. Today, I want to talk about wise mind and mindfulness. So, mindfulness, many of you have probably already heard about mindfulness and what that is. It's a pretty common word these days. There are two pieces to mindfulness. One of them is about being open-focused, open-minded, and that is being aware of kind of all your senses, all your thoughts and feelings and behaviors and the things around you in the moment, in the present moment. So it's just kind of having an open awareness. And then the other part is actually having closed focus, and that's a closed awareness in on one thing that's present, like right in front of you. For example, like if you're an artist and you're so close focused on your work, you're so right in the moment with what you're doing in front of you. That would be a form of closed focus. Those are both forms of mindfulness. And what they have in common is that they are both ways of being in the present moment. That's really what it's all about. So I want you to ask yourselves, and I want you to actually answer this question on a piece of paper. So go ahead and get a pencil and piece of paper, and I want you to write down the answer to this question. If you can't focus on the present, why could that be a problem? So if you can't focus on the present moment, if your mind is taken away from what's right in front of you, what are some potential problems that you could have? I'm looking forward to seeing your answers in our groups. So give that a minute, and then you can come back and we'll continue our class. All right. So the benefits of being in mindfulness and just being aware and in the present moment is that you can have more options and more choice with actions you're going to take, with the experiences that you're having. For example, if something gets you really emotional and you get really upset, if you're still applying mindfulness, then you have different options of how to react to that, or to respond to that, versus getting stuck and caught up in your feelings or caught up in your thoughts. You're actually able to stay fully present and be able to have more options. So the more mindful you are, the more aware you are, the more options you have in any kind of problem-solving, situation. So there are 3 states of mind. Now, many of you have probably heard me talk about this, but I know you 6th graders I haven't met. Many of you haven't met before, so this might be new for you. So I want you to, on your piece of paper, we are going to draw a little diagram of them. So I want you to draw a circle. And in that circle, I want you to write emotion mind or emotional mind, like that. Make sure there's plenty of room for 2 more. Your emotion mind is exactly like it sounds. It's where you are feeling all of your feelings. You are simply reacting to how you're feeling. You're not thinking things through. There's no logic to it at all. It's really just highly reactive. Really excited or really sad. It's all just emotions without thinking clearly. And it's hard to think clearly when you're in big emotions. So I have one more activity for you. I want you to pause really quick, and I want you to give yourselves about 60 seconds to write down all the emotions you can think of. Just in a minute, right? Or even less. See if you can get 10 or so, all right? And come right back. All right, hopefully you're back and you have your list. And I want you to look and see how many of those emotions that you listed were challenging emotions, like fear and sadness and anger, and how many of those emotions were comfortable or positive emotions, like happiness, joy, excitement. Most people have more of the challenging and uncomfortable emotions than they have the easier emotions or more positive emotions, because that tends to be where our mind gravitates to, right? And then we react. So when we apply mindfulness, we can start to see more options and more ways to respond to any kind of situation. So now, I want you to draw another circle like this. This one. So it overlaps with the emotion mind. And in that one, write reasonable mind. In your reasonable mind, you are cool, calm, collected. You are logical. You are calculated. You are using reason to solve problems. And you could care less. Your reasonable mind does not care about your emotions at all. It doesn't listen to your emotions. It doesn't care. It's just using logic. So you can see also where just being in your reasonable mind could also be a problem, right? Let's say you're making a decision about who you want to sit with at lunch, right? When we finally get to come back to school, which I can't wait to see you guys. So when it's lunchtime and you're deciding who to sit, well, if you use your logical, reasonable mind, you may have a different answer than if you also listen to some of your emotions. So emotions give us really valuable information. They are very important, especially when we're making logical decisions. So if you're only using reason or logic, then you're missing out on the information your emotions could give you, you know? Especially when it comes to relationships and friends, like your emotions are important. So in this middle slice, right here, we are going to write wise mind. That is the place that is really one of the goals of mindfulness, is to be in that middle road. And that is where we are feeling our feelings, but we're still in reasonable mind. So we are acknowledging how we're feeling, but we're not losing track of what makes sense, right? And it takes some practice to get in that mind. You have to be able to get in the present. And there's great tools for learning how to do that. So wise mind decisions can be big, like which sport you want to try out for. I mean, that's a big decision, right? Or which friend group you really want to kind of spend more time in, or what instrument you want to play. Or they could be small, like, should I take a bike ride now and do my homework tomorrow, which will make it late? Or do I take a risk and I just do my homework now with the chance that I may not be able to go on my bike ride, right? So that's a kind of one of those daily decisions we have to make, where we really need to be in our wise mind, because where our emotions and our logic very well could have two different answers, right? So wise mind, how do we get into wise mind? I'm gonna give you two little exercises that will help you practice. So we're gonna do the first one, and it's a breathing exercise. So sit comfortable in your chair, and I'm gonna put my feet on the floor, and just think for a minute about a typical problem that you need to make a decision about, okay? And you can make it up. You can use the example that I used, or something maybe that's happening in real life, but pick an easy one, not one that's really, really, really difficult, right? Just for the purpose of practicing. Pick a kind of an everyday sort of thing that you have to be confronted with, okay? So imagine you have that choice or that decision to make. And then take a minute, and you can either close your eyes, or you can just sort of have a soft gaze, because you can do this with everyone around and they won't even know you're doing it. And just focus on your breath. But this time, you're not gonna move it or change it in any way. So you're just gonna allow your breath to be exactly what it is, with no judgment. And you're going to see if you can kind of focus on the rhythm of your breathing, just the natural rhythm of your breathing. And stay there with it for just a minute. And then when you breathe in, I want you to imagine the word or say to yourself the word wise. And then when you breathe out, I want you to imagine and say the word to yourself, mind. Breathe in, wise, and breathe out, mind. And you do this a few times and see if you can experience a little bit of a shift into your wise minds. It's so simple, but it really works. Especially if you practice it on the little things. It's the little things that have the biggest impact, right? Because they're easier to practice on. And the other one is really simple, okay? This is about as simple as it gets. And I love this one. And that really is just to sit back a minute, don't make a decision, and ask yourself, am I in my wise mind? Is this wise mind? And ask yourself that. And believe it or not, if you get still enough and you focus in enough, you will get an answer, which is really cool. So I can't wait to see all of you and to hear what you wrote for your question. And if you have any other questions, feel free to send me an email at rbates@slvusd.org. See you guys later.